Okay, hi, I'm back. This is Kent, and this is part two of workshop number 7, conflict resolution. So we've talked about first 3 steps in the process of looking at the big picture and assessing what's going on and what the one central issue is. Managing ourselves in the process is number 2, and that is identifying our feelings and making sure that we are on top of ourselves. We've got our head and our heart at a place that are going to be conducive to resolving and working through this thing. Step number 3 was when. As soon as possible, getting our feelings in order, making sure that we're at an emotional place where we can give and receive in a healthy way with the person. Okay, so now we're at step 4, and that is setting up the actual confrontari, requesting a meeting. And again, doing that as quickly as possible. And the second thing is letting them know why we want to get together. Go to a person and say, hey, can I talk to you about a few things at 3 o'clock? Well, then if it's at 11 o'clock, then the next 4 hours are wondering, what did I do? This feels like a blindside. No blindsides. Let them know why you want to get together. Examples. I'm uncomfortable with how we left things the other day. Or I feel like we need to get together to review what happened the other day at lunch when things went sideways, that kind of thing, and then they at least have an idea, okay? The timing of it is a time that works for both of you. If you're a leader, you're in a position of authority and of certain power at the store, so you can legislate what's good for you. Make it good for them. If you normally go to the gym at 4 o'clock but they can't get together till 3:30, make some adjustments and accommodations on your end so that you can get together. But the time of it needs to work for the two of you, because by setting up a time that does work for them as well as for you, it doesn't inconvenience them, but conveniences you, but in the process inconveniences them, that doesn't communicate servanthood. That doesn't communicate care. It doesn't communicate regard. It communicates something poorly, and that's a setup and a backdrop to now the confrontari having one more hurdle to jump over to get to a place that's going to be good. So at this point, write out your reason for meeting. Okay, pause the tape if you need to, but write out in a sentence, let the person know why you would be requesting getting together. Okay, an additional point on number 4 of the actual invitation. Always confront face to face, always. And doing it in a private setting where it's just the two of you at a time that works, 5 minutes to 11, let me grab you for 5 minutes in the hallway and point. No. If it's a conflict resolution, it's going to take some time, but it's also going to take a setting that is going to contribute positively to the outcome of the thing, okay? And you would invite them face to face. Don't text. Just a quick word on texting. We're a society that uses texts now for way beyond what texts were originally intended for. Texts are good and they're appropriate for the exchange of information. Hey, the group of us are going to get together at Five Guys at 5 o'clock. Okay, information. Personal, relational stuff. You're ugly and I think your mother dresses you funny? No, we wouldn't say that anyway, but we certainly wouldn't send that in a text. Anything that happened personally shouldn't be addressed in a text, okay? We deal with it face to face. It honors the relationship. So when we get together with the person for the confrontari, it would be face to face. Well, the invitation to that also needs to be made face to face, okay? Now, in preparation for the actual confrontari, there's a flow that would seem to work well in the confrontari that, it's my false teeth, but there's a flow in the confrontari that would seem to lend itself well to a confrontari turning out like we would want it to. Okay, and here's what they are. Remember, the objective is it's an invitation to a dialogue, to share perspectives, to hear from each other, to work through a problem together. A formula for that seems to work well is this. It's L cars, with 2 R's. LCARRS. Okay? L is to listen, to hit the ball into their court. You want to hear from their perspective. Take the lead, by the way, in the meeting. And I'm going to spend some time here in a few minutes walking through the meeting itself. But hit the ball into their court. Listen to what their perspective is. Hey, I certainly found it difficult the other day when we had that exchange right as we were leaving, and wanted to have a chance to, as I mentioned, want to have a chance to talk about that from your perspective. What went down there? What all was going on? Pretty open-ended. Lets them respond. So you hear from their perspective, and you listen to them. That's listen. C is clarify. This is what I heard you saying. So we spell it out, and they say yes, exactly. Or, yeah, mostly. But this thing over here, no, I didn't say that. And we're able to clarify, and we've been able to share our perspective with them. So we listen, we clarify, we agree. We agree on what we can agree. We disagree on but it's okay. We agree to disagree, that maybe we don't see it happening exactly as we saw it, that the other person would see some things differently, and we try to come to some resolve as best we can with that. Okay, so it's listening, it's clarifying, it's agreeing, and then it's repairing. When we're able to repair whatever damage relationally has been done. Maybe a person, maybe we used too harsh a language, or our tone was not what it needed to be, that was going to be positive and helpful for them. We've heard that in here, and we're able to apologize, make apologies where we need to, forgive and ask forgiveness, to be contrite, to do what we can do as much as lies within us to resolve this with the other person. Being honest and true. We don't lie and say, no, that didn't hurt, when it did. Say, yeah, I was really hurt by that. But I do understand where you were coming from now. And while that still hurt, I understand why that fired you up and why you said what you said. And so I forgive you. Okay? So we listen, we clarify, we agree, we repair, and then we reconcile and restore the relationship. Is that we talk about where we go forward, because this one combines with the S, and that is the next steps. So you have listen, clarify, agree, repair, reconcile, restore, with next steps. LCARS. Where do we go? Next steps is, where do we go from here? What do we ask from each other? What are you asking from them as their supervisor, for instance, of what changes would need to take place, that kind of thing. The last thing we do is thank. First thing we do would be thank, and the last thing we do would be thank. Okay? So as for the meeting itself, we're at a time that's convenient for us. That's good. That's good. We're at a location that works well. Think of the big picture on the conferentari itself as an affirmation sandwich, like an Oreo. You got cookie and cream and cookie. Affirmation, dealing with it, and then affirmation. So an affirmation cookie. So we start off by thanking them for being there, appreciating things listing things that we appreciate about them. Not a full exhaustive list, but just a few things that would just communicate to them that we appreciate them, we're thankful for them, we're grateful for them, we're grateful for this time together, that they would want to sit down and work through this with us, that kind of thing. And then launching in. LCARS. We listen, we clarify, we agree, we repair, we restore and reconcile, and then we talk about where do we go from here with the next steps, okay? What do you do if it goes sideways? And the reality is, we'll try as much as it lies within me to reconcile with you. Doesn't guarantee that the two of us will reconcile. If I start to get heated and you're starting to feel like you're getting attacked, we're not going to do so well. If you're just not open to hearing, or not open to reconciliation, or open to hearing my perspective on the thing, if either party won't accept responsibility, own what they own, then anything that takes place from there is going to be contrived and fabricated, and it's not going to be based on truth, so it's going to be just basically meaningless. Both parties have to own, but I can't force you to own anything or take responsibility for anything. That's the kind of thing where we hope from the other person. And so if in the middle of this thing we realize this is going sideways, it's now getting worse, there are several things we can do. One is to call a timeout, to say, hey, I'm getting heated up. If I'm getting heated up, I think I'm about to say some things that I'm not going to be proud of and that I don't think are going to go well. Or we can say, I just sense that if we're not getting worked up, but we sense the other person is, labeling that and pointing that out is not going to get us anywhere. It's only going to probably make them defensive. So I think it's saying something neutral, like it doesn't seem like the climate that we have going here is leading toward resolution in this thing, and so it might be a wise idea to table this for now and maybe revisit this in a few days. I think I need to consider, you've said some things that have been helpful and I need to consider them, or whatever we would say but to excuse, not just excuse ourselves, but to say, this doesn't seem to be heading toward the kind of result that both of us, I think, would want in this thing. So we may need to step away. So take the lead in that. Listen as best we can. Encourage the other person to tell us more about a particular topic, but keeping a finger on the pulse of, if the feelings continue to escalate, then at some point when damage starts to be done, then it's time to get out of it. So it's inviting them to continue on, but needing to up the regard and up the respect and up the listening and that sort of thing. So it's trying to govern that as best we can. If we're on the receiving end of a confrontation, someone says, hey, I have trouble with what you said yesterday and want to get together, then that in a sense becomes easier for us, because we need to be at a place where we are open to hearing from people. We need to be open to receive from people. So if someone wants to say, hey, I had a problem with what you said yesterday or what have you, it's, oh, okay, well, tell me more. That we listen. We go back to SLT principles and workshops. We listen. We regard, we communicate, we send I messages rather than you messages. We watch our tone. We speak well, and we speak truth as best we can. And with a conflict resolution, we are contrite. We own what we own. So when conflict resolution goes well, it's the greatest thing in the world. When it doesn't go well, it's best to call a timeout and to circle the wagons and come back at another time and have another go at it. That may be a more appropriate thing to do. Okay? That is what we have. That is all we have for conflict resolution. These are the 2 workshops, and we'll send you an invite to watch these, and also some assignments to interact with this time. So hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully this is something that you'll be able to utilize. In fact, one of the assignments is for you to then use this process, this workshop that we've done here, because you've already done a lot of work, is to actually go with the person that you have a conflict with in the next few weeks and to resolve using this conflict resolution overview, and even the little formula, the LCARs, of how to do that well. So hopefully this has been helpful for you, and look forward to seeing you in class.